Hey boys and girls, making another video today. This one's going to be on sort of decimals, connecting them to fractions, which is really kind of this part right here. And we read both of those as 7/10. And this is the tenths, this is the ones place, decimal point, and then the tenths. I always tell my kids you almost have to sound like a snake with that at the end. We have 7/10. This shows 7/10. Here again, we have 7 out of 10 in box form filled in our pie chart or in our circle. Again, 7 out of 10. 70%, we really don't do that in 4th grade, but I can just quickly explain that to you. That's when, again, it's like you were taking a test that had 10 questions and you got 7 correct. Your grade would be a 70%. Here's again 7 out of 10 or 7/10 of the fish are green. And then on a number line. On a number line, I always go first in my brain to halfway, which is right here, 5/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10. There's 6, and there's 7. We're 7 out of the 10 spots that we need to get back to where we started. Okay, and that's just kind of all different ways to say the same thing, 7/10. Okay, same thing. Again, I found this nice little chart. I made kind of this colored part underneath. I found this kind of on Google, where it shows you kind of a number line: 0/10, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and 10/10, or 1 whole. And a decimal, again, 0.1 or 1/10, 0.2, 2/10, orange. Our light green, 3/10, our light blue, 4/10, our red is 5/10, and our purple is 6/10. I tried to match the color the best I could to that section. So see, that purple is that first group here, and then here, that's orange, green, light blue, red, and kind of that lighter purple. That kind of right here tells us both the answers we're going to need below. Okay, our fraction is 6/10. I know I'm going to have to write it that way for formatting for now. I know you usually, typically, if you can, put it this way. And again, our decimal point, we have 0 whole pieces. Then we put our decimal point, and then we have 6 out of the 10 pieces we would need to make 1 whole. So that's just, we read both of those as 6/10, or sometimes we do say 0.6, like how far did you run? You know, you might say 0.6 miles. But math-wise, we actually say these all the same way, 6/10. Okay, and then we're going to get into some whole numbers with then a decimal or a fraction. So if I'm looking at this one, again, this is now a combination of whole numbers. How many whole boxes? There's 1 whole candy bar, 1 whole mile. Right? There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. And I have 5 $1 bills. So I ran 5 whole miles. Or we already ate 5 whole pizzas or candy bars or whatever it was. See how that the entire box is colored in? Not just part of it, the whole entire box. That happened 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then how many little tenths are in the next part? Again, we would just go back and count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And that goes right here. 4 out of the 10 pieces that we need to make another whole dollar, another whole mile, another whole candy bar, another whole whatever. So there's our decimal right there. We could also write this in decimal form as 5 4/10. Again, I just said the fraction form, 5 4/10. All 3 of those things show or mean the same amount. Then I'll just do kind of a couple quick random ones, just converting from one thing to the other or back and forth. Okay, so then when I'm doing it this way, again, 3/10, this is my fraction, and I want to figure that out as a decimal. I always tell my students, again, a quick and easy tip is the number of zeros underneath. 3 out of 10 means you're going to be 1 spot after the decimal point. So we're going to have 0, the decimal point, and then 3. Again, 1, 0, 1 spot after the decimal. The opposite happens when I'm already in the decimal trying to go to the fraction. It's like this one, but backwards. See how 0.3 becomes 3 over 10? That was when it's 0.5. Again, I can still use my same idea. I only had one spot after the decimal point, which means I know I'm going to have 1 0 in my answer. And it's just the same number. 3 stayed 3. The 5 stays a 5. Really, the hard part is realizing how many zeros do I need or how many spaces. Now, the same idea happens with a mixed number. We read this as 4 and 3/10. So pretend that the 4 isn't there. Right? We already just called that. Oh, I didn't mean to erase all that. I got too crazy. We already just figured out that 3/10 was going to turn to the decimal point and then the 3. One that's different is we also have the whole number 4. That's just going to go where that 0 was. 4 decimal point 3. 4 and 3/10, or 4.3. The opposite happens, but backwards. When again, I have 6 whole pieces and then 5/10. 6 and 5/10 to read that. Again, one spot, 1 0 in my fraction. Same thing here, 1 0, one spot. Whole number 6, 5 stays on top. Again, I'll leave that up here for a second before I stop the video. And you can see those connections. Look at how 3/10 became 3, well, it's still 3/10. How 3 over 10 became 0.3. How 0.5 became 5 over 10. How 4 and 3/10 became, this is again the mixed number, call it MN for short, and then the decimal, and then from the decimal to the mixed number. You'll notice that the numbers today are really are always going to stay the same. We're really not doing, at least today, any adding or subtracting. Right? 3, and then here's a 3. 5, and then here's a 5. 4, 3, 4 and 3. 6 and 5, 6 and 5. Okay, so it's mostly just looking and really counting kind of how many spaces we need or how many zeros.